Hi, Joe here again. I hope you really enjoyed the last video where we were able to explore the powerful technique of replacing meat out for beans in a recipe. We're going to continue this trend by showing you two more recipes where we replace out beans for meat. There are two more of the American favorites, tacos and spaghetti with meat sauce. Let's head into the test kitchen and see what Kathy's cooking up.
Hi, Kathy here in the test kitchen again, and today I'm going to show you how to substitute different proportions of meat for beans in some very common recipes that every family enjoys. And those three meals are pasta, tacos, and meatloaf. So the first one we're going to do today is pasta. And I've already browned some meat. I wanted to show you that. I'm using less meat than I normally would. So this recipe called for like a pound of ground beef, and I'm using actually 3/4 of the meat. And we're going to extend the meat with a can of cannellini beans. So I already prepared the noodles. This is a really great meal to use when you're on the go. You know, if you're working all day and you come home and you want to feed your family, and most children especially love pasta, so this is a great meal and quick and easy. So I'm going to put our beans in the ground beef. I've already rinsed them, and just add those to the hamburger, and then I'm going to put in a jar of pasta sauce. I'm just going to heat that all together and mix it up. And then we just add that to our pasta, and you've got a great meal. And I chose to actually make it even a little more healthy by adding it to whole wheat pasta. But you can do whatever your family will enjoy. And another option in doing this recipe is, like, if you have some people who aren't crazy about seeing beans in their sauce, then you can actually puree the beans, and you can put them right into the meat and mix them with your meat first, and you won't even see the beans. And so any picky family member or something won't object to eating the beans. And it is by switching out the beans for the meat, we're able to drop the fat and the calories of each serving. So we'll just put them right in here. And mix it up, and you're ready to go. For our next recipe, we have your typical taco meal. What we did here was the same thing we did for the pasta. We replaced some of our meat with beans. So first of all, I drained the meat. This taco recipe calls for a whole pound of meat. Instead of that, I use 3/4 of a pound. And I'm going to use a half a can of beans. And by adding the beans, we're not only going to increase the fiber, but we're going to lower the fat. And it also can lower the price of your meal. So first of all, in the pasta dish, you could see the beans because we just stirred them in with the sauce and the meat. But in this recipe, we're actually going to mash the beans, add it to the meat, so that it blends right in with the meat and you actually don't see the beans. It's pretty tricky, you know, for family who typically doesn't like to eat beans, but it's a great way to hide beans and get a little bit more fiber in your meal and less fat. Okay, so that's finished. And as you can see, I pureed the beans, and I'm just going to put them right on top of the hamburger. And then I'm also going to add some taco seasoning and 3/4 cup of water. And as I mix that in, I'm going to let it simmer for about 10 minutes after I blend it together. I've served this meal to some of my coworkers, and you couldn't even tell that there were beans in it. They really loved it. As you can see, the beans are mixing right in nicely with the meat. Also, for another option, if you didn't want to add the mashed beans to your meat, you could just serve a bowl of beans as well as the other condiments that you have for tacos, and people can just add as many beans as they want. So my favorite way to make this recipe is actually to mix the beans in with the meat, because you really can't see it, and then you're just sure that everybody's going to get that added fiber and lower fat. But if you choose, like I said, you could just put it in a separate bowl, and then every person can just substitute as much beans for the meat as they like. Okay, this is my favorite part. It's the eating part that I love. And you know, I take every opportunity to eat healthy, but yet enjoy the food I'm eating. So this is still, you know, look at all the fresh vegetables. This is still a fun food. It's a family food, and yet you can have a little better, healthy attempt at, you know, making something that is more nutritious. So I put my meat, and I haven't always been as health conscious as I like to claim I am today. But I kind of go by that 85-15 rule, and I don't do it perfectly, but it's so important to for the future of everybody's health, you know, to try to change their eating habits. And so I try to eat healthy 85% of the time, but I sure do enjoy my 15%.